Hi, I'm Carley of Gnarly Gaming, and welcome back for my second ever couch conversation, which is me Hi. Hi, and welcome back for my second ever couch conversation. I'm Carley of Gnarly Gaming, and essentially this is where I geek out about games and game-related stories and things that matter to me in the space of tabletop gaming. But it's also me just chilling at home with my tea because, yeah, I used to film more at my table, and I think sometimes the table space is nice to really be able to showcase the game, but where I don't have to, I think this is really pleasant to just be able to speak freely and openly about the things that really matter to me in this gaming space. And today I wanted to talk about Kickstarter. Well, I feel like most of the time what I see when it comes to Kickstarter is absolute nightmare fuel. It's publishers who go under and no one ever gets their game, or it's delays upon delays, or no updates, and just like ill communication, and just there's so many people that I talk to, or if you look on online spaces, people just say like avoid Kickstarter because Kickstarter can be a rough go of it. I don't think that's always true. I also know that the negative voices tend to be the loudest ones, but I feel like that's mostly the voices I hear in the Kickstarter space, is you hear when things go poorly and not necessarily when things go well. So when I think of who I want to support on Kickstarter, I don't necessarily look for perfection. Kickstarter is a platform that can bring to life so many really cool projects from people who are smaller or growing, and I think that is an incredible thing to have exist. The fact that you don't have to be a major publisher in order to step into this space, or you can grow within this space because of Kickstarter, is monumental. We have so many cool games because of Kickstarter. So I don't want to write off Kickstarter, and I don't want to write off Imperfection either, because of that, because you can be a company on the smaller scale and grow with Kickstarter, there's going to be learning in that. I know people who've created games who've done so imperfectly, who are not business people, who make mistakes with manufacturing, who have lessons to learn as they go through this process. But because we're paying customers, we hold them up to this like high standard. But what I care about more so with Kickstarter is not necessarily being perfect, though obviously I think a level of care is important. But I want to see someone who gives a shit. I want someone who listens to community, who hears their backers, who responds to their backers, who owns their mistakes. And I think that is what is important to me when it comes to Kickstarter, is making sure I'm heard and cared about. And there's tons of publishers who don't do this, who don't listen to their community, who don't use the crowdfunding as that platform that it can be, that interface that it can be, or who don't necessarily do right by mistakes. And so I just recently got a game, and one of the biggest takeaways from it, besides just enjoying the game, was how a company has grown out of imperfection. And that's kind of what I wanted to share today. So I'm going to talk about a new game expansion, but I'm also going to talk about a little bit of a story of where something went wrong with a Kickstarter that a publisher made right. And I think those are stories worth hearing and publishers worth supporting. So yeah, I'm going to have a little more tea, and then I will tell you all. All right, post-tea time. So the tea with the story of what happened that was horrific for a publisher was that Game Brewer, essentially, who made Stroganov, which I have here, when one of the first backers got the game, they published, I should say, the most polite, scathing review I've ever heard of the game. Essentially, they had backed previous games of theirs. They had other deluxe editions, and they got the deluxe edition of this game, and just noted the poor quality of the cardboard within it. The meeples are lovely, all of that was well and good, but the cardboard was incredibly flimsy. The cards were like poor textured. If you're familiar with Stonemaier games, if you know that like sexy feeling of their rulebook, and if not, please go find a Stonemaier game and just touch their rulebooks or components. They feel good. You know what a quality thing feels like, but also just like in thickness. I actually will show you the Stroganov board in a second. But essentially, it was really poor quality. And for a deluxe edition, it was incredibly disappointing. There was supposed to be linen finish on the cards in the first place, and there wasn't. But though not advertised as an exceptional thickness, it was still incredibly disappointing for a deluxe edition of the game to have it feel so cheap. And this person pointed this out in the most polite way possible. He even like weighed it side by side with a comparable game of theirs from a previous deluxe edition that just weighed so much more because of just how cheap and flimsy this cardboard got. And he was just letting people know that it existed. He didn't expect Game Brewer to fix it. He didn't feel like he was ripped off. He just felt like really disappointed in the production quality of it. And what was really cool from that story, because Game Brewer could apologize, Game Brewer could do a whole lot of things, but they essentially did like an upgrade pack that they tried to get as free as possible to backers without burdening themselves in thousands upon thousands of dollars of shipping costs to correct the problem, to give those upgraded pieces. For instance, I'm going to show you guys this little bit. Here's the original board, and maybe I can do a better zoom in of this. And here's the upgraded board in terms of size. It is perceptively bigger. I'm not sure if it's perceptively to you, but I'll make sure at least a picture comes up to show how much bigger and nicer it is, but also just so much nicer. Like this is the kind of board that I would be afraid to hand to a friend to open up because it is just like monumentally flimsy. And it's disappointing because the artwork in the game is incredibly stunning. The gameplay in the game, it is stunning. I adore this game, but it just feels cheap. And same with the cards, they just feel almost like grimy and cheap. And so it's disappointing. Like I said, other bits of the deluxe edition are gorgeous. You have like these horse meeples and other things that do feel deluxeified, but the paper, the cardboard, and those bits are just super cheap. But they heard this and they fixed this for those folks. And perhaps like an uproar demands response. And I think the fixes that they did were quite nice for Stroganov. But I guess that only slightly impressed me. It impressed me because they cared about their community and they heard about their community. But the other bit of it is they've learned from it. The other game I have over here is Oak, which is another great one from them. And that's a nice box fart. And this game was produced later, and quite frankly, the cardboard in it was such an exceptional upgrade to even the upgrades that Stroganov initially had. One, this is a stunning game, but like, so each of them have these little like cardboard organizers for the deluxe one, and putting this together was like, it actually took me, I want to say 15 minutes less, because I didn't have to fight the cheap cardboard to not like whittle amongst itself. This just slides in very easily. I'm gonna knock out components if I do this. Oh gosh, what did I do? We're good, we're excellent. But it slides in and out so easily. It's very like thick and hefty and sturdy for the table, but it was not a pain. Whereas the other one, I felt like I needed to like bite it to get into place, but also biting it would destroy it. Like it would just wither under my mouth. Ooh. But all of that is to say that they learned and grew from that mistake, and they've upgraded their cardboard. They work with a different manufacturer, I was told. And it shows. And in this new expansion, I was even more thrilled. I kid you not, like the quality of these bits are like even tougher. Like they're just like wood solid. And perhaps this is the least interesting rant that I could possibly rant about. I feel like, what is it? Like there's an insult you can call people, which is just like dull as cardboard. And so perhaps this is the least interesting rant of all rants, but I think it's a cardboard rant that matters. All of the bits from the expansion I've got are leagues better than even Oak or the other one. There's a board with it and has these like beautiful sealed edges, and this is a prototype, so obviously not a finished product, but there's so much care here. The meeple-y pieces are still just as meeple-y and lovely, but the cardboard bits are all so sturdy and well crafted, and I just love to see that. I feel like Game Brewer is not only pushing out all these great games, and this expansion is extra modules to an already fantastic game, and I love modular expansions because it adds not just like one new thing that I can throw into the mix, but a bunch of different new ways to explore the same world that you enjoy. And so I was just phenomenally excited to see not only that, but real tangible care for a community here, real listening to people and taking it in, and not just even in a reactive sense, in a proactive sense, making the expansion better, making the upgrade pack there, taking in that information and just improving new expansions from this, or new games rather, from the start. And it's a small thing. It's cardboard, it's dull perhaps, but it's really meaningful. It showcases a company that cares, a company that is learning and growing and might not be perfect, but is trying to be for folks, and getting closer and closer to it as they go. And I think that matters. I think that matters a lot. And there's a lot of really dark and crummy stories about Kickstarter out there. And so with this game just launching yesterday, I believe by the time this will be posted, I really wanted to share this, share a company and a game that I think it has heart. I love this game. I think it's a great little game. I really implore you checking out the games itself, both Stroganov and Oak, and the expansion. I say the expansion, I'm like pushing you down here. I have like an ottoman with like a lid that I just have like all the little bits on for the expansion that I'm really thrilled by. I was just like, as I was unpacking it, because it was all kind of a hodgepodge, because it's prototype right now, I was just so happy. Because really when you see it all side by side, you feel it. Actually, I'll show you an example I think that more tangibly makes it real. So I have punch boards because I was able to get these two at the same time. And so I was able to get a punch board for Stroganov, the original punch board, and then Oak. And maybe I'll just do this. I'm going to use Oak with my stronger hand. Oh, do I do them in the same hand? I don't know how to like just show you. I don't think that helped. I wanted to show you how much sturdier this was, but it is cardboard and I'm not the weakest. This one is so much more flimsy. Like I can just shatter it. This one, like the thicker part of it, maybe that'll help. Like I can't. Like my hand cannot. I am putting effort. Like I can't. Okay, I thumbed it. But this one, like very little effort from very little less in my hand. And so it's an improvement, and these are tougher. I'm not going to do this to things that are real game beds, because I do still believe I'm stronger than cardboard, but this is tougher. These are lovely, and I'm hugging crumpled cardboard, and just very excited for this expansion and for the Game Brewer folks. Good people, and just like a small little glimpse of Kickstarter goodness worth hearing. And so out of a bad review came quality growth from good people who care. So check out all of their games, but in particular, Stroganov is amazing and the Kickstarter is great for Turukhan. So those are good things to keep on your radar if you want a taste of what Game Brewer does. Oak is another favorite of my crew's. And otherwise, I will see you guys for the next video.